Hello and welcome to BonkTable. I'm Mass and it's another Conquest Battle Report. I think that's the game I'm playing, I'm not really sure anymore. So today I got a matchup of 100k versus Nords. It's been a while since I've had a Nords game. And Nords has gone through a bunch of changes. And I'm actually really excited to get a Nords game in. I'm playing my fellow local 100k player who picked up a bunch of Nords. And it was like, oh god, here we go. Because he's actually really good at the game. Don't tell him that. It'll go straight to his head. But he is actually really good at the game, and I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be a battle for the ages. So I'm just gonna go through the list, go through the scenario and table, then we'll get on with the game. So here's my list. It is once again, here you go, Carl. And I played this for two reasons. One, because I'm probably gonna take this to Adepticon and I want to get the practice in. And two, it was packed in my bag and I was being very lazy. I edited, I don't know, a battle report or something, I don't really care. And I was like, oh yeah, I gotta go and play a game. And I'm like, yeah, this is my bag, done. So we are in veterans, so if you take an officer and a standard bearer, you can double the points of the officer to get +1 clash or volley. My first warlord is an imperial officer with a rapid deployment supremacy, which gives vanguard to all infantry on the table. And then his battlefield drills are brace for impact on your feet, so that gives you bastion and double time on the regiment he is in. And you get to trigger 2 draw events with an imperial officer in that regiment. Then he has tactical 1 through 3. So you get your, I don't know, what the heck is it? You get indomitable, you get to take an extra heirloom, and you get flank. There you go. His warband consists of 2 MSUs of Merc crossbows, no upgrades, and then a 6-stand block of Steel Legion, who is veterans for +1 clash. Then our second warband and our second warlord is the Mounted Noble Lord. He's running the big buff bust build for the veterans household knights, so he's got Oliphane's Roar for that +1 clash on the charge and terrifying 1 on the charge. He's a weapon master and he has Tip of the Lance, so he gives cleave +1 when the regiment he's in makes a successful charge, so he's going to be cleave 2. He's also Brutal Impact 2, so just a heads up to everybody, just, remember that, Brutal Impact 2 on him. Because the Household Knights are Brutal Impact 1, so there's a little bit of a change there between the character and the rest of the regiment. In his warband, he's got the Mounted Squires, who are all veterans up for Standard Bearer, Court Palatine, and +1 Clash, so they go to 3, they're always inspired, so they're running around at Clash 4, and they have opportunities they've ever hit in the side. Then he's got his buff bust of Household Knights. There's 5 of them. They're veterans, turning champion, standard bearer, +1 clash, going to clash 3. So when I charge in with them, they're going to be clash 4 because of Oliphane's Roar. They're terrifying 1, and they're re-rolling 6s, and they're going to be impact 4. So I get to roll 4 dice on 4s, re-rolling 6s. So you're pretty accurate. You're brutal impact 1 with terrifying 1, so you're going to be doing a ton of damage. And then if you make a successful charge, if you make a clash the turn you charge, you get cleave 1, and they have 5 attacks each. What's going to be a clash 4, so you're doing a really good amount of damage with that unit. Then we got the prior commander of Sealed Temple Proxy. He's got Order Sealed Temple, Impact 5. Oh, you know what? I think I played this wrong this game. He is Impact 5, not Impact 6, because I think I was using the Crimson Tower stat line. So I took an extra impact attack against my opponent whenever the Prior Commander Sealed Temple charged and impacted people. So, bad on me. Sorry to my opponent. Gotta read your rules. But anyway, Order Sealed Temple, Fluid Formation, Impact 4 with Clash 3. Pretty good for what they're doing because they're speed 8 and you can Fluid Formation for another 2.5 inches if you just reform sideways, still keeping your opponent in your front arc, and then you declare a charge, so you wheel a free 90 degrees, you move forward, impact, close the door, do your impact attacks, do your clash attacks. They're a really good jack of all trades unit. I like them a lot. They do what I need them to do. Them being defense through the shield, they're household knights that I don't have to upgrade. They're also just baseline faster. They got fluid formation, so you can do weird shit with them. But the big thing I really like about them is that they're a solid choice for the Ashen Dawn unlock. And then I have 5 stands of Ashen Dawn with a standard bearer. The big reason I don't take a standard bearer on Order of Sealed Temple is because you got Fluid Formation, and you can just do weird wacky shit with charges of Fluid Formation that just gets you more distance anyway. So you can kind of do a longer charge and don't really have to worry about the roll. So there's that. Things that I gotta say about this list: both heavies come on turn 3. Got flank and auto in. You got 3 lights and 2 mediums, so majority of your list is on the table turn 3. Like, all your lights are going to be on the table, all your heavies are going to be on the table. Turn 2, one of your mediums is probably coming on. And then, so you usually only have, on turn 3, like, nothing to one thing not on the table, so pretty good there. I usually leave the House of Knights last, just because they're my hard-hitting hammer, and I want to know where my opponent's stuff is before I deploy my hammer, so I can start counter deploying stuff. But besides that, that's really the list. I kind of talk about it more in the 100k versus city-states game, what is going to be a couple battle reports back from this one. So if you want a little more of my thoughts, just go check that one out. But this is kind of like the baseline of everything that's picked. Props to Carl. He has a face on the internet. Yeah, he helped me a lot. We kind of went back and forth in making this list, and there's probably going to be like a live game on TTS with him where I play this list once again. And that one, him and I will probably talk about it maybe a bit more. We'll find out when it's actually recorded, because this game is being recorded in the morning, and I'm playing against Carl this afternoon in the evening. So, there you go. For rules, I'm just going to slow roll them. Pause the video at any time if you want to read a rule that I didn't talk about or mention. And that's my rules. Let's go look at my opponent's Nords list. Here's my opponent's Nords list. He called it Surprise, motherfuckers. What's great, because his Warlord is a Jarl. That gives you the Suprise Attack Supremecy. So for this one, I'm just going to read it, because I haven't played Nords in quite a while, so I got to remind myself what everything does. Where is Surprise Attack? There we go. All friendly infantry regiments gain the Opportunist special rule, as well as they add +1 to their attack characteristic when performing a clash against a flank or rear of an enemy regiment. Furthermore, light regiments with character stands currently attached to them can seize terrain. This supremacy is considered to be active regardless of whether the character stand is currently on the battlefield or has been destroyed. Okay, so that's good. It's just always on. I remember in the Supremacy episode of the podcast, we kind of ranked this one a bit on the weaker end just to get, because it's like, you got to get into the flanks of people and sometimes it's really tough. My opponent actually built the list to benefit from Surprise Attack, and I'll explain, like, I'm going to explain the list and then I'm going to talk about how he kind of did it to get benefit off Surprise Attack. But during the game, he did forget about his +1 attack from being in the side for each stand. So just kind of, I don't know, it's like, it's more like just read your rules really quick just to make sure you remember that. And also, like, I'm not worried. It's my opponent played a lot of 100k and now he's getting into Nords, so it's like you're just gonna forget stuff. It's okay. So with the Jarl, he's got Dragon and Wolf that gives him +1 clash and +1 attack, so he's clash 4, attack 6, really good offensively. He's got a Broken Blade for cleave 1. This is, like, it's pretty good. He's going to be an offensive powerhouse. He's going to be 4 rerolling 6s with Inspire, 6 attacks at cleave 1. Like, it's pretty good, man. Tactical 1 through 3. So the regiment he's going to be in has flank, so that's the Huskarls. They have a Sandbearer with a Scald and a Thane. Yeah, I believe that's how you spell that, or say that. That's supposed to translate to Thane. So he's going to have Resolve +1, and he's going to be Bastion for a draw event. So he goes from Resolve 3 to 4. He's got 5 stands plus the Jarl, so that's going to take him up to, like, Resolve, I don't know, 6? I think that gives him to Resolve 6. Yeah, takes him to Resolve 6, but 6s are always fail. So he's pretty good on the Resolve part. So until he starts losing stands, it's going to be a little tougher to kill him in Resolve. But it's a good anvil right there with the Jarl and the Huskarls. And then he's got the Yufnar, who are the Blessed, Bloodlusted, Devout, Lethal Demise, 8 attacks, Clash 2 unit. They get Blessed and Devout from the Goatee, what gives them Blessed. So that's really good on them, actually. When you charge in, you bless your attack rolls because you're only Clash 2, inspiring to 3. Reroll all your misses from the 4, 5, and 6 to try and get more hits. 8 attacks is a ton of hits, especially off 3 stands. it's a lot of attacks going in. Their defense 2 and evasion 1 with wounds 4 and resolve 4, so they usually just bite it when they get hit, but they also have lethal demise, so they just explode upon death. So that's really fun. This unit killed Mountain Squires, did like 2 points of damage to some blessed Ashen Dawn, and then they exploded on the Ashen Dawn, and I think their explosion finally killed one of them after I like killed them all. So I don't mind this unit. It's just super pricey for what you're doing. Like 245 for Standbearer and Goatee is a lot of points for a regiment that is just wailing into people. However, we then have 6 stands of Bear Sharks who are have a Standbearer and Goatee, so they get that Blessed and Devout as well. But they are Cleave 2 at Clash 3, so they're going up to 4s with that Blessed. Their Defense 3. Surprisingly, with Blessed, they can actually bless off a lot of attacks. They're coming from Cleave 0 or 1. They can kind of survive, especially if your opponent rolls really bad into them. Not saying that I did. I am saying that I did. But with 5 attacks at Cleave 2, they are actually a really good offensive powerhouse, and they're a couple points cheaper than the Ufendar, but they are a restricted slot. So I really like this unit. I think it's really good. If you're a Nords player, this is a fantastic unit to have and own and use on the table. My opponent's second warband is the Blooded. He decked it out as a Gun-Blooded, so he's got Crow for gun, he got Marksman for more gun. Horn of Hargnar gives the regiment he's in rapid fire, so 1s count as another hit, so you can double up on your 1s. He's running 2 units of Stalkers with a banner, and then he has 2 units of Bowchosen. So Bowchosen with the precise shot. Whenever they roll 1, it's a smite, so it just auto goes through defense and you just take it. So it's super duper fun. So, kind of going through all that, I'm going to talk about his game plan, because I did like it, and he did kind of, he did do it. So his game plan is that he has 4 shooting regiments, and Bowchosen are no slouch in melee, because they are Clash 3 with 4 attacks, there are 5 wounds. So, if you try and tie them up, they're Clash 3 and they just inspire Clash of 4 attacks with Clash 4 and just kind of pummel you to death, and it's super annoying. And then, once they're clear, they go back to shooting. So his whole plan is that, what else do I got here? Oh yeah, Stalkers have flank, so they auto come in, and Bowchosen, so yeah, turn 1, Stalkers are both coming on, 1 unit Bowchosen coming on, and he rolls 1 dice for a Bowchosen. And then, turn 2, Huskarls and Newfnir auto come on because one has flank and the other one just auto comes on, and then Bear Sharks auto come on. So his entire list, except for 1 unit of Bowchosen, just auto comes on, what's really good. So he only has to roll once, and by turn 3, his entire list is going to be on the table. So that's like a really strong aspect of the Nords, is that you can get a lot of flank and a lot of auto-ins in your faction. So you know everything's going to be on the table turn 3 to like get up there, start scoring points, start setting line of engagement, start being a dick to people. My opponent's plan, he's got 2 units of Stalkers, 2 units of Bowchosen. They're running up the table. They are setting up kill boxes, and he's trying to outgun his opponents just by having the Stalkers like flank and vanguard all the way up. They're range 16, but they're also speed 6. They're volley 3, so they're going to do some shot, like they're going to get some hits in. They are barrage 3. However, you have Bowchosen following up behind them, so if you ever try and run to engage the Stalkers to stop them from shooting, you got Bowchosen, who are less range, but a precise shot, but also your volley 3, you can take aim to 4, and you barrage 5, so they're just doing more shots, doing more damage. And this whole warband with the Blooded is totally designed to just like shoot your opponent and wants them to come forward because there's a lot of shots coming in, and that's kind of the idea there. Then once they come forward, you have the Huskarl Anvil to kind of hopefully take some hits. And then you have the Ufnarls and the Bear Sharks who come in and hammer people to death. Now I'm going to talk about the Suprise Attack. So because he's layering the Bowchosen and Stalkers, Bowchosen surprisingly do very well if someone runs into Stalkers, engages them, and then the Bowchosen charge them in the side, and they all get +1 attacks. So now they get 5 attacks each, 1 from the leaders, 16 attacks at Clash 4 because of Inspire, re-rolling the 5s and 6s because of Opportunists. They're just going to do a ton of damage. And my opponent did that to me, and I was like, what the hell is happening? Killed a unit of, I think it was Sealed Temple, and I was like, what the fuck? So that's how we got the name Surprise, motherfucker, because it was quite surprising. There is a build for this Supremacy, and it does work, and you'll see it in the game. I get flank charged a bunch of times just because my opponent's like, come on, do it, do it, do it, do it. I'm gonna shoot you if you don't. And I'm like, ugh, I fucking hate you. I like this list. I think it's pretty good. Lots of ranged output, some good melee stuff. Surprisingly has durability in the Bear Sharks with Blessed. Like, it took me forever to kill those fucking things, Jesus. But with that, we'll go to rules, and I'll slow the rules, so pause the video at any time. And there's the rules. Oh, Broken Blade, that one at the bottom here, what's clipped. There it is. The character stand gets cleave 1. There you go. Okay. That's my opponent's list. That's his rules. I've kind of talked about it. I think you guys want to see the scenario and then the table and all that, so let's go to that one. So today we're playing on scenario 3, Breakout. We have 3 9-inch zones on the table. Bloop, bloop, and bloop. Then we have your friendly objective is the one on your left, so mine it will be A, and my opponent's will be B. Circle them there. There we go. They contest that middle zone, so you can't score the middle zone until you kill the objective. And for points, we got players gain 3 VPs for destroying an enemy objective during the round. You get 2 VPs for each zone you're seizing. You gain an additional 1 if you're seizing 2 or more. And you get 2 VPs if you killed the enemy warlord. It can only be scored once per game. And then we got into like the special scenario thingamajig. At the ends of round 1 through 4, or 9 and 10, you gain 1 additional VP for seizing objective zones closer to the sides of the battlefield. At the end of rounds 5 through 8, you gain 2 additional VPs for seizing the center objective zone. If you're controlling both the sides, this kind of gets, I believe this kind of gets into the Maelstrom problem, where if you go and like control both sides, you'll end up outscoring your opponent if they go and hold the middle. But then if you go hold the middle, you just kind of like leave something here to defend a side. Like just a regiment, there we go, and then you swing to the left here and you just kind of take that zone, scoring it, and then you have 2. So there's a bit of play and counterplay, but this is basically Maelstrom, but it has 2 objectives that lock you out of the center until you deal with them. We initially went for the middle. It was kind of funny, like I was kind of looking at the middle zone, going for those objectives, but then we both just devolved into fighting over the 2 side zones, and we didn't get to the middle zone until like the very end. I don't think no one scored the middle zone. We just killed 1 objective. So that was about it. For scenario on this table, or not scenario, I mean terrain on this table, it's not bad. You got a lot of open space. Like once again, being able to put non-garrisonable, non-obstructions in the zone but not covering the middle of the zone basically solves like 9 out of 10 of my like terrain problems with Conquest, and so I really have nothing more to say about that. I'm just drawing a line now. Let me be. But with that, that's really the scenario. I don't mind Breakout. I find that the middle can either be alive or dead, and in this game it was dead just because we just devolved into fighting for the 2 sides. So we kind of split our forces off down the middle, and it was like, I'm gonna go take this one. My opponent's like, I'm gonna go take this one, and then I'm like, well, I should counter deploy some stuff over there. My opponent went, oh, I should also counter deploy some stuff over there, and that was kind of how it went. Let's go look at the table, and then I'll get into the game. Here's the table. So we got my zone over here, or my, well, not my zone, but my objective over there, my opponent's objective right here. We have size 2 garrison with that +1 defense over there and over here. We got some size 3 obstructions right there. And then we got obscuring, so half shots went through it. And then I think it's dangerous. So whenever we move through it, you have to roll a d6, and on a 6 you take a wound. I don't think it causes resolve. We didn't play it, it caused resolve, but it was just kind of like, take a wound. I know I had some Merc crossbows get into the zone, and I'm like, oh no, and like I did some stuff, and then at the end of the turn I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta roll 3d6 to see if I like lose anybody, and then I rolled a 6, and I'm like, god damn it. It wasn't gonna change the outcome of anything because a stand didn't die, but it was still like, oh god. So it's just like stuff you gotta watch out for. I find the dangerous terrain where you have to roll a d6, I like, just don't worry about it, just roll the dice, just go through anyway. Don't like, oh, I don't want to take wounds. It's like, no, just take the positioning, it's not the end of the world, just get in there. The positioning means more than the trickle damage you're taking. I don't mind this setup. It really, like, these big ass rocks really kind of kept us out of the middle, because we had to like go around it if we wanted to get into here, what's fine. But because this side of the table, like, yeah, that's a terrible line here. because this, there we go, that's much better, because that and that was so open, and the only real things that were preventing us to do anything were the two forests. We kind of just devolved into fighting over the side because the table kind of restricted our middle movement so that we would devolve into fighting over the sides. Yeah, that's really it for about the table. So let's go to turn 1 and we'll talk about that. Here's turn 1. I get 2 units of Merc crossbows on the table, and my opponent gets both his stalkers and his bow chosen onto the table. He remembers he has Vanguard, like, and just runs his stalkers up another like 6 inches, and then he has standard, so he goes like 19 inches up the table. But I get the roll off to go first, and I'm like, what do I want to do? I'm like, well, I'm gonna get shot up, so maybe I should put all my shooting on one side of the table just to kind of help myself out over there. This causes my opponent to deploy both his bow chosen to one side of the table and a unit of stalkers, so he's kind of overcommitting onto the right side right now, but it's not the end of the world. I deployed this unit of Merc crossbows behind this forest so that I can reduce shots into them, but I'm also eyeing, like, I don't know, like a 3 or 4 inch move here, and then I'm within 9 to shoot this objective, but I can shoot into here, and I'm in the woods so I don't get affected by the half shots. So I'm kind of really looking to use that for my strength here. This unit of Merc crossbows way off to the side, I'm just kind of like setting up like a counter shot. I believe, I forget which one. I think he deploys, so it's like I move my one unit of Merc crossbows up. I think he moves this one up next. Then I put my other unit of Merc crossbows up the table. And then he just like bum rushes because he has nothing else to do. So he just rushes everyone else forward on this side because he's like, I'm gonna go get rid of all his Merc crossbows because then he doesn't have any counter shooting. And then he has to come to me, and I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I want to do with my life today. I don't move my full 15 with Vanguard. I move about like 12 to 13 inches. I leave, and I check this, I leave a space for a stand 15 inches in front of them. So I think they're about 12 or 13 in front, but there's enough. If you go 15, there's a stand's width in front of them. And I'm doing this because I'm thinking about my cavalry next turn and where I'm going to put everything. Like I have that line in front where I put that square. So it's like I got space in front if I want to put cav. I also have space right here if I want to put a bigger block of cav. I have all of this to work with at some point, so I'm not really worried about spacing there. But I'm just setting myself up so that cavalry can get in front of the crossbows and do work after the crossbows are done shooting. And they have a spot to go into, and I haven't restricted myself, because something I've been noticing with my play is that I've been stepping on my own toes by having my Merc crossbows go the full 15 when I Vanguard, and then I'm like, next turn I want to throw cavalry out, and I can't. I don't have any spots for them, so I'm like, oh, this really sucks. So I've been trying to putting that space and that thought in advance in my games to make sure that I can do it properly, and I don't step on my own feet. But with that, that's turn 1. No one scores. No one, like, we're just vying for position. So let's go to turn 2. Here's turn 2. I get my sealed temple onto the table, and I get my mounted squires onto the table. My opponent flanks and autos in his Huskarls, his Carls. We just started calling them Carls after a while, and his Oofnarls. Everything's a gnarl today. Things would go, I believe I win the roll-off. I have this unit of Merc crossbows that's down to one stand right in the corner here. Very poor picture on my part, but it's only one stand, and I'll explain why. So this regiment shoots into the Stalker regiment. I'm outside, like, he's outside of his 16. I'm inside of my 18, so I just take aim and shoot at him. I roll a bunch of dice. I get, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 hits. My opponent rolls all his evasion. He takes like 2 damage. And it's like, yay, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Mom. Look at me. He then moves that Stalker unit. He just walks up at 6. He's like, I'm going to get up there. And I'm like, okay. And he just blasts this this Merc crossbow unit. He does, what does he have? He has 3 shots. So he has 10 shots from the regiment at volley 3. And then his, blooded, has 7 shots at volley 2, but every time he rolls a 1, his 1s generate another hit. So he does like a bunch of damage, and I think that regiment is down to like 2 or 3 health. So he, oh god, he did like 8 or 9 damage, or maybe 10. He did 9 or 10 damage. It was just like, ugh, that really sucks. So they're basically dead in the water now. My next regiment walks up, and then I roll 8 2-downs and do another 8 damage into that regiment because he made no saves. I'm like, yeah, it's at 2 health left. Like, this is sweet. I'm like, okay, thinking of a plan. My opponent just runs both his bow chosen up the table. He doesn't shoot with any of them. He just kind of gets them up there, so they're in a very effective spot for next turn because he knows that cavalry is coming. He knows I have mounted squires and sealed temple coming, but he doesn't know where they're going yet. His other regiment of stalkers just gets into range and shoots the objective. All right. I then start counter deploying. I look at it and I'm like, he hasn't deployed his Huskarls and Ufnarl yet, but I'm like, I'm gonna blitz the the mounted squires up the table. He can probably try and get to me if he wants to, but I'm like 10 inches away here, so that I'll just write a 10. So that if he tries to, he has to like roll a 4 with a reroll, so he can probably get to it, but then he has to do some weird like angled charges because of the objective to get to me. But I'm like, I'll probably get in, I'll be fine. And then I'll kill those stalkers, and I'll be like, yeah, stalkers are dead. Then on the right side, I have the sealed temple just run up the table. They don't go super far. They go within, I believe, another 10 inches of the stalkers because they can like angle themselves, and then they'll be able to do that 90 like with the fluid formation angle, and then like check the distance is smaller. It ends up being like 6 or 7 inches after I do the turn, and then I can just like wheel 90 and go in, charge them. They're also down to 2 health, so this is actually really good, so I can do that fluid formation, so I can end up like I'll use purple, go like so. This is a bad square. It's just make it more obvious. There we go. And then we'll use this yellow line, and then my front arc. There we go. I can see that. And then I measure the distance. I'm going to use orange. I just measure this distance to there, and then whatever that is, I'm like, that's my reform. This is me just drawing on the table. This is not supposed to be accurate. I have no measuring tools to actually make this accurate. This is the theory behind it. So then I measure that shortest distance, and I go, okay, yeah, they're in, and then I charge them into the bow chosen. So the idea next turn, Merc crossbows, stalkers are down to 2 life. There's 10 of you. Shoot your 10 shots at take aim, hit him a bunch. He's evasion 2. He just needs to fail 2 of them. Stalkers are dead. Sealed temple, do the reform, charge into those bow chosen, kill those bow chosen, secure the zone. Cool. That's a pretty good plan. My opponent runs up his Huskarls. He's looking to get into that zone over there. And then he runs up his Ufnarls because he's like, okay, stalkers are going to die to mounted squires. Ufnarls are going to kill mounted squires. Ufnar will take objective. Okay, there's the peace trade. Yeah, that's fine. But I'm looking here on the right, like I'm like, okay, if I can kill the stalkers, take a unit of bow chosen, I'm probably going to win that side. And then that means I can deploy the Ashen Dawn and Household Knights that are still in reserve to... and the sealed, Steel Legion. Forgot there was Steel Legion in this list. Onto the left side and go kill all that. And then that's left him with the Bear Sharks, and I can probably figure out how to get to the Bear Sharks. So we'll be in a really good spot. This is where my plans start to fall apart. So let's go look at turn 3 where my plans start to fall apart. Here's turn 3. Some things went well, some things did not go well. So things that come on, both my Ashen Dawn and my Steel Legion come onto the table. Household Knights didn't make the roll, but I'm like, not the end of the world, they can wait. So things that go first, I win the roll off because I have less cards, and I charge my Mounted Squires into the Stalkers. Let me just redo that box. There we go. So I charge my Mounted Squires into those Stalkers, and I do a bunch of impact attacks. My opponent's like, oh, your impacts are nothing. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to clash you with a bunch, and then I kill him. And it's like, okay, sweet. My opponent has his Stalkers go next, I believe. And he has them here. He shoots into my 1 stand of marked crossbows, and I'm like, no, and they're dead. So one thing I kind of always believe in is to confirm the kill. Don't leave a regiment on 1 stand because they're going to be used as a pinner, a speed bump, a contester, even a scorer. Like if there's a regiment that can score and it's on 1 stand, well, it's like, and they're already on the zone and there's nothing to threaten them, they're like the perfect scoring regiment because I don't feel bad not using them for anything anymore. So Stalkers do that. I'm like, okay, Stalkers have 2 wounds left. Merc crossbows, take aim, shoot into the stalkers. So Merc crossbows, you rolled 8 out of your 10 hits last turn on 2 downs. You roll 4 out of your 10 hits on 3 downs. Perfect. Thank you. Like, didn't even get to 5. 50-50 my ass. So then my opponent has to fail 2 of these on 2 downs, and I'm like, okay, he can do that. Nope, he saves 3 of them, and he's down to 1 wound, and I'm like, oh my god, please. So I have a Stalker regiment with 1 wound in front of my Sealed Temple, and I'm like, that's fantastic. His Blooded bounces into the Bow Chosen, like breaks the unit, but I can't get to that unit with the Sealed Temple, who are sitting where the Steel Legion is kind of sitting at this point. I looked at it and thought about getting into his Bow Chosen unit was sitting over here. I needed a 4. Without a reroll, I didn't really want to go for it because it was just asking to die. But I'm like, well, I can get some work done. So I just charged the Sealed Temple into that Stalker unit and I kill it. And I'm like, yay. I take some damage because of the terrain, but whatever. It's like 1 stand went through it. Then my opponent has the Blooded go. He then side charges with Opportunist and just pummels all the Sealed Temple to death. They lose their shield. He has Opportunist. He's rerolling all his attack rolls. I'm like, okay, great. So my Sealed Temple die at that point. I bring on my Steel Legion at some point, put a stand in there, put them like 1 inch away from those Blooded because I'm just going to kill those Blooded next turn. And I'm just looking to use the Steel Legion to just kind of chew through all of this. Because before I put the Steel Legion down, I know his Bear Sharks start running this way on the left side here, so I know like Steel Legion are basically going to fight 2 units of Bow Chosen, and I'm pretty sure I can win that fight. We'll probably take some losses because Bow Chosen are stupid, but I'm probably going to win. I then just have my 5 Stands of Ashen Dawn just run up the table because I'm looking to get into the zone right here. It's fine with me. And my opponent just runs himself up and gets his Huskarls into that zone. Cool. For scoring, he scores the left zone, he scores the right zone. Last turn, he would have just scored the right zone, so he's getting up on points. I haven't scored anything, but... and my plan kind of failed with the Sealed Temple. That happens. Now it's time to, like, start making another plan and see how that one fails. Because this is basically me trying stuff and then watching my opponent roll Evasion 2 over and over and over again. It's like... I hate this so much. Basically, my opponent, great guy, awesome gentleman. Never let him play a faction with evasion because he will always roll evasion. But if he has to roll defense, he will do very poorly on defense. So Nords is perfect for him because he has a bunch of fucking evasion on everything. You cannot tell that I'm salty about this at all. And it's been a day. But that's turn 3. I'm kind of looking at it. And I'm like, okay, Steel Legion, kill the 2 units of Bow Chosen, lock down the right side. Merc Crossbows will then swap from killing Bow Chosen to killing objectives. Household Knights and Ashen Dawn will hopefully kill Huskarls, Ufendar, and Bear Sharks if I can get the charges off. If I can get the charges off, I probably can, so I can do some real work. So with that, let's go look at turn 4 and see if I do anything properly. Here's turn 4. So things would happen. I have my Household Knights come onto the table. Sweet. On the right side, I believe I have the Steel Legion go first. They just slam into the Bow Chosen. I will paint that in the proper color. Killing them. My opponent has the Bow Chosen shoot into Steel Legion. Does a ton of damage, as you can see. Lost 2 stands and a wound. Fantastic. He's still scoring that, but that's not the end of the world. My crossbows shoot into this unit of Bow Chosen. I think I do like 2 wounds, so I'm like, yay. That's it there. My opponent's Huskarls like basically rotate and move like this. I draw some characters. I have my Household Knights go. They just run up the table because I'm looking to get into these Ufnarls right here. So that if he goes for the objective, I can go hit him and kill him, and then I can be like over here, and I can look into like attacking the Bear Sharks that are going to be going into the Ashen Dawn. And we have our Vanguard. I don't know if you can see him. This might be his leg. I'll just... Here, we'll circle him in purple. I think that might be his leg over there. I'm like, man, should I go for the obvious trap with the Huskarls? And he's like, I would totally go for it. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going for it. So the Ashen Dawn charge into the Huskarls. Impact attack. I clash with 4 with cleave. And do cleave 2 into like defense 4 and just wipe out the entire regiment. They like break and shatter and run off. So good on me. Then he has his, what is it? During this time, his Bear Sharks just shimmied over because he was trying to get into, he's like setting it up so that he can do that side charge. But then he gets his Oofnarls. They roll the 4, whatever they needed. I don't think they even needed a 4. They need like a 3, and they just get into the side there. Do a bunch of damage. I roll Blessed and like bless off a bunch of hits. So I'm like, sweet. And I take very little resolve. I think one guy, he's like, I think he took like 5 damage or something. I don't know, but I still have all 5 stands there. I am scoring this left zone. My opponent is still scoring that right zone. No one's taking the middle, as you can see. It looks like it's not going to be dealt with at any point in the game. And then we're going to kind of, I guess, like, you know what, I'll talk about next turn kind of where I made a mistake and what I could have done better. Because there is a mistake in here, and like there's, at this point, like a better play I could have made. So I'll talk about that then. But that's kind of what we're doing on turn 4. So let's go to turn 5, and I'll talk about another mistake I made and what I should have done. Here's turn 5. I believe do I win the roll-off? I believe I win the roll-off. No, yeah, I totally win the roll-off because I remember my Steel Legion went first. So, or maybe he won the roll-off. Man, I forget. But anyway, what happened was, I just remember Steel Legion, like, was my first card or something, and they just went into the Bow Chosen. They just march charge just to engage them, get onto the zone, start scoring that. I know his Bow Chosen on the right there, like, stabbed at Steel Legion, as you can see, and then he declared a duel with the Blooded, and then I just rallied with the character, because that was, like, one of my last cards, so I have 3 stands to his 1, and I score the zone. Sweet. Merc Crossbows on the right, shoot into Bow Chosen, kill off a stand. Sweet. His Bear Sharks charge into the side of my Ashen Dawn. I bless off a ton of damage, and I lose a stand and take 2 wounds, so it's, like, really good on my end. Even with the Opportunists and all the other stuff. Ashen Dawn go. They kill off the Oofnarls. I think they just inspire Clash into them. But then I take Lethal Demise, but then I take 2 more damage, and I'm fine. So I've lost a stand. I've taken 4 wounds, but I still have 4 stands left. So this is actually kind of doing really well. So I'm like, sweet. I look at it, and because the Household Knights are way back here, it's kind of like a crap charge to get into the Bear Sharks. What I should have done, and I should have like just moved up and set myself up to charge them. But what I'm thinking in my head is like, oh, you know what? Like Brutal Impact 1, Terrifying 1, all the attacks coming in. I should be able to like just rip through Defense 2 on these guys. That makes sense. No, my opponent with Bless just like rolls a bunch of dice, and it just saves a ton of 2s, and like I guess the 1s on the what's it, Noble Lord, because he's Brutal Impact 2 and just saves a bunch, and he only loses 2 stands. You can see in the back there. So I'm just like, what the hell? Also, he's Resolve 5, so, and he's like a big block, so he's like Resolve 5, and it doesn't matter. Like there's 6 stands, so he's Resolve 5 goes to 6, and then goes back down to 5, so he's fine. So I'm just like, what the heck? So, because I knew the Bear Sharks were going to be engaged anyway, I really should have just moved my Household Knights to this position that I'm kind of hatching right now, and then charge the next turn so that I could get both the charge and the clash in there to just do even more damage. I just didn't realize how durable these guys would be, surprisingly. And so I was like, oh, I'll just do a march charge and it'll be fine. I'm like, nope. So just, I always talk about Bless and how to deal with it. It's just like not working out. But at this point, what is this? I believe this is turn 6. I do score both zones. So I get 2 points each, plus 1 for scoring 2 zones. And we got that going for me. So I'm starting to like tick up on points now. And we'll go into turn, I believe it's 7. I forget what zone this is. Maybe it's 7, maybe it's 6, who cares? I'll find out. But anyway, we'll go to the next turn. So it's turn 6. Here we go. First thing I do, I win the roll-off. Steel Legion, attack Bow Chosen, kill them all. Blooded does some damage back, killing off another stand, but they're done. Steel Legion are going to store that zone for the entire rest of the game. Merc Crossbows, you're going to shoot into his objective and slowly kill that for the next couple turns. His Bear Sharks go. Clash into my Order of Ashen Dawn. I'm like, oh, I'll just bless this off again. I did so well last time. Nope. Just failed rolls, re-rolled, failed more rolls, and was like, well, this just sucks. But I'm like, okay, well, I got Household Knights in here. We can do some damage. Clash into the Bear Sharks. Blessed, all that stuff. He, like, saves a bunch. No stands died. I think there's a couple wounds on this last stand over here, but it's meaningless, and I'm just like, what the hell? So it just did really poorly right there, and I'm like, god damn it. My opponent's making fun of me because he's like, wow, Hustle Knights do not want to be in a prolonged engagement. I'm like, no, of course they don't want to be in a prolonged engagement. They're shit. They need to be charging. They're on a horse. You get charged. If you're not charging, you're not winning. So that's kind of what happened there. No one's scoring that left zone. I'm scoring the right zone, but I'm clawing points back up. At some point, I'm going to pass my opponent. But really, it's now just Bear Sharks versus Household Knights, and we'll find out how that goes. So let's go to turn 7 to find out how that goes. Here's turn 7. My opponent, believe wins the roll-off, reforms, takes a little bit of damage, loses a stand, and gets 2 stands in and has a support stand. Clashes me, I lose 2 guys in the back and take some wounds. I clash back, and I think I just kill off a stand. Once again, scoring, shooting. I believe this is the shot where I rolled 10 hits on 3 downs and only had 1 hit. Like, all the rest of the dice were 6 to 4, and only one of them was a 3 down, and then my opponent rolled like a 5 and I did 1 point. I'm like, yay! It's so dumb. So we got that going for us. Oh yeah, I scored the Warlord when the Jarl died. So I got that, and now I'm just trying to kill these Bear Sharks before he can score my Warlord. But because I'm scoring that right zone, I believe at this point I have more points than him, and I'm going to take that objective soon, so I'm just going to have more points than him, and even if we go to turn 10, I'm still going to have more points than him. So we're just kind of like duking it out to see if Household Knights can even kill Bear Sharks. So let's go look at turn 8 and find out how I'm doing that way. Here's turn 8. I believe I win the roll-off. Household Knights kill another stand of Bear Sharks. My opponent then just Inspire clashes back, killing off 2 more stands of Household Knights. So I'm like, oh great, this is super fun. Score. Kills that. Scores me 3 points. And we'll just go to turn 9. These are just getting quick because there's not much to say. Like, it's just 2 people in the corner of the ring punching each other and seeing who lives while everyone else is just like standing around. So let's go to turn 9 and that'll probably be the game. Here's turn 9. Opponent wins the roll-off, blesses his attack rolls, kills off my Household Knights, scores him 2 or 3 points for the Warlord, and then uses his second action to side shuffle 2.5 inches into the zone. So he scores the left zone. I score the right zone, and at that point we call it. We just like tick up 10, tick up 9, then tick up 10. So let me show you the end score, and I'll talk about this game. Here's the end score. I got 25, and my opponent got, was that 6, 12, 18, 21? 21. I'm doing this right. 6, 12, 18, 19, 20, 21. Yeah, 21. And we ended on turn 10. So, 100 Kingdoms victory. Pretty close, actually, all things said and done. Once I collapsed his right side and just had the Steel Legion, like the remnants of it, just sit there and score points, and like keep him out of that left zone, I was back to winning and then taking the objective. Blessed Bear Sharks, surprisingly good. If they're going into like Cleave 1 or Cleave 0, Bless just saves all of them. Like, Bless is really good into the things that don't have high cleave. And I had a really good roll. Like, I don't know, maybe I had a really good roll, then a really bad roll with the Ashen Dawn, who like survived Cleave 2 and then didn't survive Cleave 2 at all. But that kind of sucked. Bear Sharks, I think they're a really good unit. People should go and invest in that unit. It's really solid. The 4 shooting units, I kind of wanted to shut that down as quickly as possible. Not being able to kill that 1 stalker unit to allow my sealed temple to get into the bow chosen really sucked, because I really need to get there, do a bunch of impacts, and clash them and hopefully kill them all. Because then it would have been less damage coming in, because if he swings his other unit of bow chosen into those sealed temple, he probably would have still killed them, but then I can bring up that Steel Legion, and it's 1 Steel Legion, or like 6 stands of Steel Legion versus 1 unit of bow chosen, probably going to win that fight, score that side. And it just would have been like a better right side fight, and probably would have scored sooner kind of thing, get some extra points there. And it just shows that, like, even though you have a really good idea and plan, like, dice can just go the wrong way and it's, like, not going to work, and you're just going to have to adapt on the fly to figure something else out. So that's kind of what happened there. My Household Knights, going for the march charge and not just marching and adjusting myself to get a better charge was probably not the play. I really needed all that damage into Bear Sharks, and this is my first time playing into Bear Sharks, so knowing that, it's like set myself up for a march clash instead of a charge clash instead of this, like a march charge is just a better option. Ash and Dawn did really good. They killed 2 regiments. Huskarls, they anvil, but they still die. Like, I always find shield infantry, like, you can just put a big enough punch into them that they'll just fall apart. Even with Unyielding, my opponent being defense 4, rerolling 6s, getting cleaved to being defense 2, rerolling 6s, there's too much of a gap in there where, like, just too much stuff is going to leak through, and then you're just going to hit that resolve and just have a ton of things die. I think they lost a ton. I think they lost a stand on the impacts and lost, like, 4 stands on the clash, and then resolve kicked in and just killed the rest of them. So yeah, it's really weird. Anvils are kind of weird because the game is so killy that trying to find the proper anvil is a little tough, because there's enough killing power in the game that no anvil is going to be the best anvil. Like you saw with the Ash and Dawn, I got charged in the butt from Ufnirl, who I survived because they had no cleave, and then they exploded on me. But then I got charged in the side by Bear Sharks, who I blessed off all the attacks, and they attacked again, and then I didn't bless off all the attacks, and they died like bitches. So, my Ash and Dawn were overloaded with stuff to do, and died. That's kind of the way you gotta take down Ash and Dawn, and it shows in this battle report. So, maybe side charging is the answer. Basically, get into your opponent's flank more. Get into that flank and start spanking. What else I gotta say about this game? I'm kind of fine throwing away my mounted squires to kill stalkers. I just need to get rid of my opponent's shooting, and once I kind of dealt with my opponent's shooting, I felt like I was in a much better spot. Yeah, that's kind of it. The terrain really dictated and forced us to fight for those side zones, as you saw through the battle report. Like, we never went through the middle zone. Like, we kind of went for the objectives, but we were just too busy trying to kill each other to get onto zones that were gonna score us points right off the bat, then take objectives. I think this list I played, the 100 Kingdoms one, is kind of weak into a lot of shooting, just because, like, I have a bit of shooting, but nothing too crazy where I'm going to win the shooting battle. It's more like support shooting for chip damage, but if someone wants to, like, really put into shooting like my opponent did here, like, I'm gonna lose it. Like, if he went, instead of focusing on my sealed temple and just wanted to kill off my Merc crossbows with bow chosen, he could have easily done so. Even with half shots, he would have done enough damage to the point where the Merc crossbows would have been very ineffective. So it's there. I like all the different horses. I like running around with all the different horses, and this list does that. So yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. For plugs, BonkTable's got a Discord, find that in the description below. BonkTable's got podcasts, you can also find that in the description below. If you want to comment, talk about the game, there's the comment section. If you want to jump on the BonkTable Discord, and then there's a BonkTable content discussion channel, you can go into more depth there if you want. Either or, it doesn't matter to me. Yeah, so I hope everyone has a great day. Bye!